have a lot of experience with editing and publishing and mentoring and writing in the autoethnographic community and in the arts-based community. So I guess I'm interested in those multimodal responses and how they can be curated into a book or books. There's some people who will be expansive about the ors, but there's some people who will just be like, well, I wrote a bunch of stuff over 3 weeks and I bet I can cobble that together and make a chapter. I think is what a lot of people will do. There's a lot of people who participated who are from our critical autoethnography community down here who are not highly theoretical. And one of the projects that Stacey and I have set for ourselves in forming this critical autoethnography community and conference is to try and talk about the creativity of theory and to try and get people to approach autoethnography more in a more scholarly fashion than just personal narrative fashion. So it attracts, as a community, it attracts a number of artists, right? Because there's that overlap with personal expression and it being a container for creative and personal narratives in the academy. So what I think is that there'll be a lot of those people who will want a publication because they're early career researchers and they will truck together some or all of what they've done and try loosely to tether it together and possibly submit that. I'm interested in how I can help them make those into something perhaps more nuanced than that in some way. But also what I said to Annette early on was like, who's to say we're not going to get like 150 chapters that look relatively the same because they all did the same prompts, even though they responded differently. There's a sameness, of course, because the prompts were the same. Yeah. So what happens if that happens? And I was thinking about the form that books or special issues would take, which is, are we going to have 15 chapters that are their own take on those 21 prompts, but really feel a lot like the same chapter to some extent or another, in terms of editing something like that, a body of work like that? Or I was suggesting to Annette, you know, is there another way to curate that material? Like, do we structure a book in 21 chapters by prompt and then include people's various works under that as an organizing principle? And I think that it sort of sat there. I guess the problem for my junior colleagues around that is that they won't get credit for a chapter then, right?
For sure.
Unless, for example, I think that's sort of inevitable on some level because there's been such a huge response. And that's why I like the idea of saying, here are some other book series that could hold something like this, or special issues, but they won't be out till next year. Who wants to edit one? And then we mentor people to edit them, and it kind of rhizomatically spreads like that. And I've mentored a lot of people in editing, and that's a useful contribution to the field, to the academy, but to people's lives. But in autoethnographic community down here, sometimes, like with our Pacifica colleagues and Indigenous colleagues, we've talked about publishing papers like the Kambachahi Collective, I was talking to Annette about before, in that feminist paper they did in the 70s, where there's like 150 authors, you know, like not just in the scientific model, but in the feminist model. So we could do something like that, or so everyone's an author on a particular article or on the introduction to the QI special issue. Everyone who participated could be a co-author if Norman doesn't, you know, flip out. And then the other idea I thought about a book organized by prompt is that there's 21 chapters for 21 prompts. We choose 21 authors, right? And so what happens is arbitrarily, so that it is still organized by prompt, but we do something kind of resistant, rebellious, or queer, and we just put people's names on each chapter, so that they come out with a chapter for credit, but it's not all their words, but it's about a commentary on the devaluing collective work in the academy, and that's acknowledged and accepted by those 21 participants. And the volume in the introduction is explained and understood to be a kind of non-literal or group. We can even talk about the politics of I always forget what that thing is called, the Kambachi statement, but it's so powerful, because it's just refusing the neoliberalism of the individual. We could do stuff like that so that people both got out of their own story, but also got the credit they need, which is real in the academy.